that by the time we get to that point, I've seen it already, so that when it does happen, it won't be a surprise, but everybody will have seen it coming, but how it evolves will be why it's interesting. It won't take you by surprise like, oh, he just started up as every building. You know, you got to lead up to it and make it part of the background. Anything else? Yes.
How would you avoid like one people becoming like a planet of cats?
I'm sorry?
How would you avoid like all the people of one like race generally just becoming the same?
Yeah, the question is how do you keep people of one race from just seeming to be the same all the time? And that's an excellent question. As I point out specific characters, or if we're talking about specific characters, I'll talk about individual differences that they have. If I'm talking about, in my books, it's interesting because different races are looking at other cultures and assuming that everybody is the same until they actually encounter a member of that culture and realize that, yes, the Alpha have different factions the same way that the humans do. The same problems with authority and that sort of thing, but they settle them differently because their culture is different, and they have different classes and different social statuses, different plans and that sort of thing that are all moving behind the scene. So it's kind of a good technique actually to start off and go, yes, all elves are the same. And then you meet some elves and realize, oh, there are 3 kindreds of elves that are slightly different. And then you meet them and realize that each of those kindreds have like 5 clans. And they're all, that clan over there, they're just assholes. And realize that from the very beginning, that every culture that you have, you're going to have, you know, the village idiot and the village head and the village shaman. And there are going to be extremes in every culture, and that's how we do it. You point out the extreme examples in a culture and let them kind of burst on the scene for a few minutes so that it shakes it up. Trying to think of a good contemporary example of that. And I'm blanking. Wookiees. Wookiees are great. Everybody loves Wookiees because of Chewbacca. We see Chewbacca, we assume all Wookiees are like Chewbacca. For the first 3 movies, we only saw one Wookiee. Okay? But we assume that all Wookiees are like Chewbacca. What if Chewbacca's the asshole? and you just kind of, you take that sort of perspective where the example that you are presented with isn't necessarily representative, and exploring that is actually a really good narrative device. I encourage you, if you're a creator, to think about that. You know, let's write it that way. And so when you go back, everybody hates Chewbacca. Go back to Chewbacca's own little bit. We're so glad you know. But thank you for your question. Anything else on? No? Okay, go ahead.
So you mentioned that anybody who's a storyteller
Mhm.
has a filing cabinet, somewhere with just oodles of information. How do you prevent yourself from expositing too much when you're going into background?
That's a really good question, and my wife tells me I don't. I write really big books for one thing, so I write for readers who like really big books, and so I try to keep the exposition down to a page at most, and even by that time, she's screaming at me, and then break it up with some dialogue, and come back to it. An iterative approach is a good way to do it. You just got to be careful because you get accused of going back over the same material. And there is a danger to that, but as long as you're bringing something, a new element into each iteration, you can actually make that work for you. All right, anything else? All right.
Sir.
Oh. Go ahead.
Yeah. How do you handle handle a slow decline in, say, for example, an empire and the public's response to it without everyone going, oh no, the world is ending?
That's a good question, and some people will think the world is ending, and that's okay. That provides some spice to your background. If you have a slow decline of an empire, you show how things aren't done quite as well as they used to be. You have old people complaining about how things just aren't as good as they are. Things aren't as good as they were, and they only seem to be getting worse. I dare say that just about every older person that I've met feels that way at some point or another, and is glad to expound on that. I hope it doesn't mean our culture is in terminal decline. But that's one of the ways that you reflect it, is through the reactions of your character. Everybody, I think, in our own narrative voices, we very much live in the present, and while we're cognizant that there's a past and there will be a future, we all live in the now all the time, and we don't notice, I think, except in cases of extreme reflection, that maybe things aren't as good as they were, or maybe things are doing better than they were. And so if you're going to call that out, a good way to do it is symbolically. An old building that was representative of the old way of doing things is falling apart, or isn't right, and it's become a homeless shelter or something like that, or a node of communities. Churches and temples are particularly good for this because unless they're state-sponsored, they're usually maintained by the people who believe fervently in that religion, and if people lose faith in their religion, then they stop supporting their temples in those cases. So if you have a ruined church or temple, then that's going to be very big. Anybody else? Okay. And we'll do a couple more questions if we have time at the end. Magic and divinity, one of my favorite parts. I was a religious studies major at UNC, and I'm one of the few religious studies majors who I think can claim to be a success without starting a cult. So the day's still young though, just keep watching your emails. But I'm fascinated by religion, not just a particular religion, but religion in general. I studied psychology and religion. One of the great things I learned in doing that is that all human cultures have religion. There are no human cultures that are naturally occurring atheistic cultures. When you're looking at human universals, a couple of things you can bank on. Religion is one. Ghost stories. Every human culture believes in a life after death and has ghost stories. But that's about it. I mean, there are not, you can't, unless it deals with directly with reproduction or feeding yourself. Just about everything else is fluid, but every human culture has religion and every human culture has so trying to write a human culture that doesn't have one of those is going to be difficult. I'm not saying it's possible. There are many philosophies who have tried to engineer that artificially. They all end up breaking down for some reason. If you could write a way that works, I'd love to see it. That doesn't break down, actually. But let's be honest, utopia is a form of this crowd. Including religion and magic is absolutely essential in order to make it a believable human culture. Now, when you talk about religion, you have to understand that it's not just all about church. Religion has levels, and this is where at least I find a lot of value in building. There's the personal level, how an individual feels. There's both religion, the religion that kind of plays in the background as you're growing up, and then there's a very social element that in most communities where there are religious gatherings, usually it's a community of some sort, whether it's formalized or informal, but regular religious meetings and gatherings is where the social element comes from. And then we get things like state religion, and we don't have much experience with that here, but there are plenty of cultures where state religion mandates. Confucianism is an excellent example. We don't see a lot of Confucian missionaries out there trying to convert to Confucianism, but in traditional China, Confucianism was the religion that standardized it. State religion, the regulatory rule, and everything. So, very important element that you can import or import and change around. And then there's the cosmic sense of religion, the whole existential, why are we here? Why are other gods here who want to kill us? That sort of thing. Those cosmic issues usually are affected by what religious studies people call phenomenology. It's why we tend to make religious things like the moon in the sky, because you got a moon and it waxes and wanes and stuff. The moon ends up showing up in just about every religion as a sacred symbol. Even Islam, which has incorporated what was originally a goddess symbol as its main emblem. The moon is visible from every point on the earth, and so that bit of phenomena shows up in the cosmic religion. If it wasn't for the moon, and this is one of those areas where being generous is very important for your living world. A friend of mine came to me, had a great world, but it didn't have a moon. I said, okay, if you don't have a moon, you have tides. You have no, variation in your night sky beyond, what full time day. And he's like, I wanted to do one without a moon. You can't do all this other stuff, but you can't do it. You just can't, unless you put something else up there that's just as good as a moon to build that place. So phenomenology plays into the cosmic level, but the cosmic level is not an area where your characters are really going to be very aware or necessarily dwelling on it unless they happen to be one of the forces of the cosmic world that are playing out in your story. But keeping all those elements of religion in mind as you're describing a human society is very important, because even if you specifically are not religious, the society in which you reside is, and regardless of what kind of character you are. Now for the other bit of fun stuff, the details. The devil's in the details, God is in the details. It's all in the details. If you want good world building, you bring that world into the reader's sphere in a way that they cannot find it. Great scene in The Hobbit, where they're having the party at the very beginning. That does more to world build than the map does. It tells you so much about what's the character and the world in which the character lives in, because it essentially describes a party, not a battle or anything like that. It's pretty common, but you pick up the fact that Bilbo, has a KO that helps establish a social place and his preparedness, level of preparedness, I guess, and establishes the fact that the Shire can produce an advance enough economy to be able to have a grocery, for example. That whole first chapter of The Hobbit builds the world of the Shire before yanking Bilbo out of it and letting you see it from his perspective. After giving you a place that's safely rooted, it draws him and you through the story till you're so far away that you understand essentially every step on the road and remember where you came from. One of the few things I thought The Hobbit movies did really well was have Bilbo reflect back on how much he wanted to get back to the Shire and the how that kind of fed his personal narrative throughout the books. But things like what you eat and drink on a regular basis. We're a burger and fries sort of society, so someone describing us would have to put burgers and fries and make a lot of assumptions about the world based on that and your experience. if you put in something really, really weird, for example, how do you describe a new flavor without cultural context? My world is technically a far future human colony that is civilized, but there are all these exotic alien elements in it. How do you describe something that's like cinnamon but not cinnamon? How do you, without talking about cinnamon? It's difficult to incorporate those sorts of things, so you take things that you know your readers already familiar with, and you say it's kind of like that, but then it's a little like this over here too. Those are the sorts of exotic, I guess, staples that you can pull in and give to your reader to help build the world around it. Especially smells. Smells are great. You want to build a world, make it stink. Seriously. The identification that the reader or listener has with your world, if you bring in the sense of smell evokes memory more powerfully than any other stimulus. So by incorporating those things, that, the smell of mold, the smell of a decomposing body, the smell of bread baking, or cheese fermenting, all of that adds tremendously to kind of an immersion. And of course, following that sounds, temperature, that sort of thing, as you're describing your character's immediate world. But smells particularly stick in your mind. Just a couple of social customs, marriage and family. Every human society has those too. And how they are presented are a major part of every human culture. If you want to describe good world building, you need to know how people get together and reproduce, and whether or not they kill each other or have divorces or have legal separations and all that. What happens to children if their parents are orphaned? Lots of little questions that you don't really think of when you're describing your fancy heroes like a dragon, but they're absolutely essential details for building a world that readers find both believable and interesting. And as far as social custom, what do you call each other? This is a great point for especially someone who's just starting world building. Start with, the pronoun issues. What title do you like to use? Someone who is in a lower social status obligated to treat someone in a higher social status differentially verbally, in a verbal manner, or is everybody in a very egalitarian situation? Surprisingly, things like feudal villages, there's actually a high degree of formality involved in everything that's done, because those formalities keep larger social issues from running together and causing revolts and things like that, even if it might seem a little derogatory from an exterior perspective. The fact that there is a manor lord, and that manor lord keeps things running, and we're deferential to that manor lord. Sure, it has to do with the fact that you owe him rent, but it also has to do with the fact that without that respect, then he can't do his job. And so figuring that out up front is a big way to start with that's the basis of what I have. Do I have questions? Anyone? Yes, sir.
Where in your creative process do you schedule world building? You say before I advance my storyline or my outline and all, I'm going to spend the next 6 weeks on fleshing out.
I would like to say yes, but unfortunately inspiration doesn't always work that way. And so what usually happens is I'll be minding my own business, just writing along, and come across a question that I have to answer before I can move forward and move forward. And then I will spend sometimes 3 or 4 days absolutely obsessing about it, doing deep dive research on it until I either figure it out or come to the conclusion that it doesn't matter. And believe it or not, coming to the conclusion that it doesn't matter can be a very important decision to make, and doesn't mean that the entire process is wasted. you never waste your research, or if you go to the trouble of truly researching something, you'll find a way to include it in the next, in something. Anybody else? Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, the religious aspect. Could it be problematic if, let's say, you write about religion kind of in passing, right? But later on in the book, you radically change religion, right? Say that the God that you're worshiping is actually a false God, a lot of the belief system and everything, and even God itself is something far older and radically different than it was supposed.
Well, we have ample historical representations of what happens when that sort of thing happens, when you have changes in religion and culture. Honestly, it's difficult. I would say look at history and see what's come before. There are some great missionary accounts of that sort of thing happening across time. And by reading, when there's a shift in religious culture, for example, where Islam and Christianity and Judaism and Buddhism all sent missionaries out into the world and changed entire cultures from at one level. From our perspective, that's a line in history, but from the perspective of the people who were there were riots and there were fights in families and that sort of thing. If you're addressing it socially, now if you're addressing it on a cosmic level, then you have a lot more freedom and your character can express themselves and their relation to divinity a lot more succinctly, I would say, than approaching it on a social level. But both are important, I would say, for pushing a narrative that deals with religion. The hard thing is that, get this, the hard thing from my perspective, how do you write God's voice? What do gods think about? How do you think of other creatures, other beings? And answering that question will help figure out, how your entire line system works. But from a writer's perspective, it really sucks. I don't know how to do it. The closest I get is radical egomania, and I've got that already. I know how that works. But how do you add actual divine power to that and divine responsibilities and make that work? That's a tough thing. Yes, sir.
When it comes to the contract between the world builder
Mhm.
and the reader, how do you feel about stories where it turns out that the characters that have been giving world building were wrong? Like they either, let's say, like a Hobbit, where they didn't know. Or
Right.
maybe,
Well, that's actually a good point. I think that you can actually get some mileage out of that. That hey, oh yeah, I trained you from youth to be a warrior who goes out and kills the evil Dark Lord, but I was just fooling. There's no evil Dark Lord. And that would be a great story. It really would. And I think that's how you handle it. Is you make those sorts of mistakes part of the narrative and give a darn good reason. I mean, that's where story comes from. Establishing a character, screwing them up, and then giving them a darn good reason for unscrewing themselves, essentially. How are we doing on time? Okay, just curious. Oh, okay, wait, yeah. Go ahead.
So, while there's no such thing as wasting world building,
Mhm.
how do you prevent yourself from getting lost in the final cabinet?
Getting lost in.
The final cabinet.
I write a lot of short stories on the side. And the reason I do that is not everything, more happened in the Civil War than Red Buster is how I put it. Basically, in any world, you have to imagine that there's going to be a lot of people, a lot of perspectives. And the way from getting yourself caught up in that kind of trap is by exploring those.